Hussbus bus stop.
JP Hussey here, owner of the Hussey Team Mortgage Advisors, with this week's
Hussbus bus stop.
Okay, so I'm sure you probably see a lot of marketing out there to buyers of possible real estate, and then even to the people that may want to sell and then go buy. But what about the people, maybe you, that own a house already, aren't thinking about buying something else, aren't thinking about selling, but maybe you want to set yourself up for the future. Maybe you want to pay off some debt. There's a lot of different tools there, right? So this video is for people that may want to look at a cash out refinance if they have some debt to pay off or if they need some cash, or want a home equity line of credit, or want some sort of home equity loan on their house in that what's called that second position. Okay, so let's go through these quick so you know your options if you're one of those people that aren't looking to buy something else and not looking to sell. You're good where you're at, but you want to fine tune. All right, so let's talk about a cash out refinance. So a cash out refinance, all right, you have your mortgage right now. Let's say it is at 3%, 3.5%, and you say, JP, I don't want to refi out of that rate. Makes total sense, okay? But what if you have some lifestyle changes, right? We call it lifestyle lending sometimes, where you've racked up some debt, all right? Or you got some student loans you need to pay off. Or you did get a HELOC before and you have a big balance there and it's all interest, right? And you want to try and consolidate. So a cash out refinance is a lot of times called a consolidation loan, okay? Now, again, before you say, JP, I'm at 3% on my first loan. Why would I ever get rid of that? Well, think about maybe these credit cards that you have, right? Because the Fed funds rate's higher, these credit card rates might be 25%, okay? You might have a student loan at, let's say, 10%. You might have a personal loan that might be 17% that you took out that's unsecured, okay? Credit cards are unsecured, personal loans unsecured, okay? Which means it's not secured by property, higher rate. So let's say you have these items, okay? And what you have to look at there is the monthly payments, all right? So let's say you do a consolidation loan and your mortgage payment goes up by $1,000 per month. JP, again, my payment's going up $1,000. But if we're looking at these other debts that you may be only paying all interest to, or you're not making a dent in them, and one of them's $500, one of them's $300, another one's $600, you got a car loan that's $800. When you start adding those up, okay, and maybe they're at $2,500 per month, but we're going to get them paid off and your mortgage payment's only going to go up $1,000, which means your cash flow, if you do the math, about $1,500 in your pocket. You consolidate everything. You're not moving anywhere. You cleared up some debt, and now you have a good budget with cash flow. That's a really simple way, not really simple because it's complex and everybody's different, but that's one way you can look at how to get some cash flow. So we always look at that for you. If you're looking, most people think, let me just get a home equity line of credit. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But that might not be best for you. A consolidation loan to get some cash flow, to clear off some debt, could be the way to go, but not always. So let's talk about that home equity line of credit. So a home equity line of credit, all right, sure, you would keep your first mortgage, let's say it's 3%, 3.5%, but then you get another lien in the second position, okay? Home equity line of credit, all right? What this is, I kind of say it's like a giant credit card without a balance. You start with no balance, okay? With a lower rate, but they still might be like a 7%, 8%, okay? And you only pay on that when you use it. So if you have a $100,000 line of credit, the zero balance, you're not paying on it, but then you want to use it for some renovations or consolidate debt, right? And it's at 20 grand. You're going to be paying on that 20 grand, all right? But here's what's kind of tricky, and you have to be disciplined with home equity lines of credit. A lot of times, they are all interest type loans. So that minimum monthly payment might be sexy for you after you pull some money out, but you're not making a dent in that actual balance. So you have to be careful there, all right? So that's where sometimes if that's 8%, you're only paying interest, you're not disciplined on paying it off, but you do a cash out refinance and let's say your new rate's 6.5%, 7%, it's still lower and you've consolidated the debts and your cash flow's there. A home equity line of credit is only going to add usually on top of your cash flow, although you may pay some things off. So I say home equity lines of credit are usually there as a good safety net for emergencies to be able to tap that when you need to. And there are some strategies around home equity lines of credit, maybe not in this market, but going and buying a house, if rates were lower, going and buying a car cash, getting a better deal, using that home equity line of credit as cash because you're just writing checks to yourself, okay? How that works. And then going and refinancing that car. A lot of different strategies, okay? But it depends on people's discipline and what's best for them. Always good to have a home equity line of credit sitting there for emergencies. The third one I want to talk about is a home equity loan, okay? We've done a bunch of these for people, all right? And what that's going to do is it's going to be in the second position, just like a home equity line of credit. Remember, it's a line, starts with a zero balance. These loans, home equity loans, are actually going to put it in that second position, and you have to take a balance right off the bat. And you can kind of customize what you want to what you want your payments to be, all right? What's good about these, this is maybe for the undisciplined people, is these loans are going to be principal and interest, just like your first mortgage. And we can do it at 30-year terms, 15s, whatever it might be. But that's a good long-term play because the payment might be higher than the line of credit because it's only interest. But the home equity loan is principal and interest, means you're going to be paying it down. You're going to start chipping away at that balance for the future. Okay, so again, cash out refinance, debt consolidation type loan might be great for cash flow to consolidate, get all some other debts and wrap it into one so you have one payment. All right, the line of credit, a lot of times better used for emergencies, to have it sit there in case you really, really need it, but you have to be disciplined. And number three, the home equity loan is kind of like your first mortgage, all right, where you're paying principal and interest and better for the long term. If you have any questions, I know this was a lot of info, hit us up.
Hussbus bus stop.